Hello, welcome to today's video. Today I am excited to talk to you about some rather interesting aspects of the new upcoming Life and Death expansion pack for The Sims 4. One of which is actually a feature that I am far more excited for than any other feature I can remember in I do not know how long. And there are other things around this feature that if, work as advertised, has been well implemented and not glitched to Pluto and back, if it all pans out, it could actually kind of change the tone and some of the meaning of the game if you have this pack. What am I talking about? The feature in question is Rebirth, which went over my head in magnificent fashion when it showed itself in the first trailer. The infant coming down from the great beyond. It did not even occur to me that Rebirth could be a feature in The Sims. So it's really surprised me, that one, in a pleasant way, because that's pretty cool. But also around that, we've got this whole bucket list and we've got a lot more to do with ghosts. And I want to talk to you about how on earth do you already deal with ghosts in your game and the prospect of them already being able to come back to life, and what does the additions of this new pack, including the actual Netherworld being somewhat present, mean for our possible storylines, gameplay, game lore, and our own lore. This morning before I recorded this, I woke up and there was a mini trailer released on X. So we're going to go through that as well as some of the other information revolving around these specific topics. So let's start off by examining this trailer that came out today. So this bad boy dropped today and it is about the Grim career. But because there is this whole Netherworld thing in place and it actually shows you a bit of it as well as what we can expect for this career, let's have a bit of a look at what they have shown us today. So Netherworld Department of the Big D, as I sometimes call the unalive. I'm just going to pause it here. So we have a picture here of, well, we've got to have our not all images appear in game. And yeah, you know what? This is very important to remember because they did an amazing first trailer. It looked really good. It sort of sucked you in with its story. But we must, at all times, for our own sanity in the future, remember the way the game actually plays, just to not, get our expectations too high. I think that can be important for us poor simmers. But the reason why I wanted to just stop on this was because this gives us a little glimpse into something that I've been very interested in this game, this whole concept of the Netherworld, which is normally something you do not get to see. It's where a ghost will end up going when their earth time is done. And sometimes this is by design when you click on the tombstone, and sometimes this is just automatic if they haven't interacted with the living world enough, at least until this pack comes in and obviously changes things up quite considerably. But we get an actual glimpse of what I believe is at least a place in the Netherworld. And here is the portal, which I assume this is on the other side. So we've come from the regular Sims living world, and this is Netherworld here. Now, this is going to start doing my head in already because it's like, I assume this is just like Grimm's department in Netherworld, but I just love to know what else is in Netherworld, like if this is where the ghosts end up and if that's it, they just live here forever unless we now know there's a whole rebirth thing, which I don't know if you come here first or go there, or if you just, well, actually, we're going to read about that later. I'm getting ahead of myself, but I'm just utterly fascinated by the lore of this. It's got me intrigued, I tell you. And so let's keep going. But that's what I'm wondering. It's like, so what else is there to Netherworld? I know we're not going to see it. This is like all we're going to get, but I just want to know what technically they're supposed to be. Like, what is the deal? Can we get more of the deal? Because it is intriguing. Okay. In we go. Now we've got Grimm being a little bit of a jokester at work, leading everyone there. He's got the talking book thing going on. It's another day for Grimm. We've got the Grimm turns. Let's have a little bit of a look. We're just going to pull this apart straight away because I have watched this. So we've got rest eptionist. Get it? Because eternal rest. Oh dear. Hey, look at this ensemble back here. This is pretty cool looking, isn't it? And everything's very, black, fits in with a Grimm And we've got the Grim Turns. I don't know why this one's bored at work. It's going to be a long road. And this something that's fascinating me already is that this Grim Turn, which looks like the lady from the trailer that we've got so far, perhaps, I don't know, she could be someone else. I could be the mayor of Wrongville. But I'm interested that one of the Grim Turns is a ghost and the other two are not. Like, how does that work? Are these ones still obviously actually technically alive and this is their job? And this ghost is not, and they work there. And here's this person in this really cool outfit here. I wonder if it's like a surprise who they are, like a surprise townie. And they're making friends with a crow here. I think these are supposed to be crows. I was very confused as to whether it was a crow or raven, but I'm pretty sure they turned out to be crows. Some cool pictures around here as well. But yeah, we can see there's actual Grim there again, and another Grim Turn, it would seem. Just having a look. So this is where you will have an active career, I assume, as working under the Grim Reaper, being a Reaper yourself, or getting to that point. Got the classic coffee and microwave, created by Mortimer Goth. That's kind of confusing unless it's like meant to be one of those work videos and Mortimer Goth's now gone into the movie business. Who knows? Let's keep going. And there's Grim just, you know, training the interns, it seems. Okay, no, I don't think she is the one from the trailer. I think she's just a Grim Turn. Maybe there is some lore behind her. So we can see the sort of like a portal swirling behind her there. There it is, and she's projecting magic into there. Now Grim's having a word with them all. One's taking notes. Oh, they're practicing the reaping maneuver. Because, you know, you got to get that one right. It would be embarrassing to do a dodgy reaping maneuver since it's such a dramatic moment. There's someone pleading, and oh, if you get to this point of the career, you could literally get to probably choose whether their loved one continues on living or not. It's a heavy thing to have in your hands, literal life and death in your hands. But this guy's, I don't know, he's keen on the job by the look of it. Let's keep going. And then somebody's miffed, very miffed, this other ghost. And now the Reaper, who's no longer in the land of the living, is hitting on this other ghost who is perhaps a relation of hers, or maybe they were together and that's why she's not impressed. That's quite spicy if that is the scenario. Okay, so it looks like in this section, there's like some sort of a bar type hangout. Is this actually in Netherworld itself, or is it going to be in real life? Does Netherworld have a bar and a workplace, or what is going on? I don't really have the answer for that, but I can tell you I'm intrigued. So that's a little glimpse into the Grim career, but also the fact that there is a Netherworld that we have known exists, and now we get a little peek of it. I am keen to see if there's any lore that comes out around this though, for once, like in books or, you know, Grim himself, you could ask him. I don't know. So yes, I am super intrigued about all this, but I gotta say, I don't know who else has this issue in their game. I know I won't be alone, but sometimes I find it difficult to decide what to do with ghost sims, especially if they have strong ties to other sims who are still alive and you are not ready to part with them. Of course, there's the old reset and you can just get out of the save and go back in and pretend like it didn't happen. But sometimes your mind just won't let you do it and you want to play on. And then it's like, do I get everyone to move on? Do we make it so they eventually say goodbye and they accept it? Or do we get them to live with them and try to bring them back to life as well? And sometimes I've done that method, and I must say I used to use spellcasters, high-end spellcasters, because they can bring sims back to life. Well, it's actually quite a slog to get there, so it does feel like they're actually quite powerful. But since the introduction of the Horse Ranch pack, and we have that nectar that can just bring a ghost back to life, that to me is like such an easy way to do the job that you cannot ignore that such an easy method exists and is available to sims. And sometimes that very law within the game is so hard to ignore that it's like, well, what do you do? Does anyone ever not get brought back to life because that exists? It's like, then you sort of have to go into your head and say, well, maybe, you know, passing actually sort of changed them and they realize maybe they're ready to go. Or I suppose a far more simple method, which often eludes me, could be that your sim has just never heard of the nectar and you have to ask old Robert Crumplebottom about it anyway. So there's that. But I guess this is where this bucket list is going to come in very handy, because you can really justify if they're ready to let go or not. And of course, the rebirth thing being a thing is actually going to help my mind in a lot of ways now that I'm thinking about it, because I always have that dilemma. It's like, can you ignore the fact that it's actually really easy to bring them back to life so no one ever really need die? You know what I mean? I hope I've explained myself, but that's a dilemma I have faced. But I want to talk to you today about what this new stuff will also mean for that type of gameplay as well. And like I said, this rebirth option is really exciting. Like, what a cool thing to have. I don't know if they've had it in previous Sims games. Maybe they have, and that's why it's a surprise to me, because I've never heard of it. But I tell you what, ooh, that's a fun one. I mean, I know it's The Sims and things are just not going to play out as we want them to a lot of the time. But in theory, that type of gameplay could really add not only some interest, but some actual depth to a storyline as well, like in a whole new way. We've got a picture here that we're going to just look at, which has some ghosts in it. And apparently ghosts are going to have a lot more that they can do from this pack, which includes the bucket list. So ghostly powers to unleash mayhem, kindness, or something in between. So them being ghosts is now even going to be more of a thing that they can be, and they're going to be even harder to ignore because they're going to be around more and they're going to be able to do more things. So as this is saying now, every ending means a new beginning, which begs the question, what awaits Sims in the beyond? So yeah, it's going to be even harder to ignore that. Not that you'd want to. I mean, this is what I mean by it kind of actually changes the tone of the game in a lot of ways. It's like it sort of loops around. I don't know. I hope I'm making any sort of sense. What awaits the Sims in the beyond? Yeah, there's going to be more to their existence on the whole now. When your Sims have the chance to craft a bucket list, resolve lingering unfinished business in the afterlife, wield new ghostly powers to unleash mayhem, kindness, or something in between, and even undergo a rebirth. Now it says here, and here's a little picture. We keep seeing this part in the trailer and that. This is probably the center of one of the neighborhoods. In Ravenwood is the name of the world. Ravenwood, where the veil between life and death is especially thin. And you'll find 3 unique neighborhoods where Sims walk shoulder to shoulder with ghost Sims who have unfinished business. So begin your Sims journey in Crow's Crossing, an eerie village rumored to be frequented by ghosts and regular hauntings. So I'm guessing if you're playing in this world, though, you'll be, taking advantage of this new gameplay to do with ghosts and the afterlife and whatnot. I wonder how much there will be an opportunity to block it out if you're living in other worlds, though, because it's really in your face here, but you might not want that all the time. Another neighborhood is called Whispering Glen, and each night the Whispering Glen hosts the local moon revelry festival where Sims can swim under the moonlight, share stories at a bonfire, and dance. We saw some of that in the trailer, I believe. Then there's Morning Vale, which seems to be an eerie sort of place with moss-draped trees, eerie clang from the bell tower at odd hours. Sentient plants, so the cow plant is no longer going to be the only one. That's interesting. No matter the reason, many ghosts choose to call this place home. So I guess the ghosts are still hanging around in this thinly veiled town, which hanging around in the land of the living, this is where they will choose to go as they perhaps, well, it seems like they can either work for Grimm or they can complete their bucket list after they have shuffled off the mortal coil. The Grim Reaper has been known to wander through now then as well. Now this is interesting here. Here Sims can take a dip to the baleful bog to have an out-of-body experience, which could be what we saw in the trailer with the Sim turning into a ghost, or transition into rebirths. So if you've done the requirements, that's pretty cool. Taking a dip in the baleful bog will result in a rebirth. So here's some pictures here of someone ticking off a bucket list, and one of them is showing the infant coming back down to a hopefully loving family, and then this is another bucket list thing here too. It seems like it's a ghost who's ticking off the bucket list, helping the living. So let's get into this more to try and understand what's going on with these features here. Sims only live once, right? Yeah, I've always thought YOLO was just a little bit presumptuous. There is a lot to do in a Sim's lifetime and so little time. Keep track of everything Sims want to do to live their life to the fullest with Soul's Journey. So this is the thing that is interesting me. An all-encompassing rewards system uniting aspirations and wants. Oh, let's hope it's not the silly flawed wants where it's like everything's going perfectly in their relationship and it's like, oh, they've fallen out of love, time to break up. And it's like, yeah, I'd understand if that was triggered, if they were fighting all the time or someone had cheated or something. But when everything's going hunky-dory, it makes no sense and it sucks. A Sim soul's journey allows them to achieve rewards as they fulfill goals, with the ultimate reward being the ability to rebirth a Sim with the special burning soul trait after their passing. Cool, cool. Sims who are reborn after completing their soul's journey can unlock past childhood development skills, traits, and infant milestones depending on the age they come back as. So they can come back as different ages too. Well, that finally might help my mind deal with the fact that a Sim can just manifest into reality at any age, usually a young adult with no previous life lived. So if their rebirth can be at any age, then maybe their original manifestation can too. And that's just part of this universe, and I'm going to stick with that. They might also find, this is cool, special ties to Sims from their past. I wonder how that's going to work. I hope this is all implemented well. Getting the traits would be super cool, wouldn't it? Because we need, obviously for this, what I think is an awesome concept to work, it needs to actually have enough to make it feel like, yes, this is that other Sim reincarnated in a new body. I don't want us to have to do all the imagination work for this. It's always put on us Sims 4ers to have to use our imagination in areas where we shouldn't have to. Not that we don't want to use our imagination, but you know what I mean. We need the game to work with us for our stories. And this is one of those times where I really hope it works out. So now what I want to know is, can a Sim be reborn multiple times? And do they keep the burning soul trait, which allows them to just take a little dip in the old baleful bog, or do they have to do a new bucket list and unfinished business? Can the same Sim just be their own legacy and keep skipping from generation to generation or every second generation? Or is it only a one and done deal? You only live twice. I'm hoping the same Sim can be reborn multiple times though. That would be great. And that would be a hell of a legacy as well. Players can also ensure Sims achieve fulfillment by creating and completing their bucket lists. There are multiple ways for any young adult or older Sim to create a bucket list. So I'm taking this to mean if your Sim should perish as a teen, there is no chance at coming back for them. They can't do a bucket list, so they can't get the trait, and that's all she wrote. If left alone, a Sim's bucket list will naturally populate over time based on their traits. That's cool. I like that it's coming from the actual traits. Leave those wants alone, please. There are also new interactions on the computer and journal which allow Sims to write random goals themselves. See, that sounds good, doesn't it? I don't have hugely high hopes for it because it's literally just doing ordinary tasks, but at least it ties into further meaning, and if we can make our own ones up, maybe we can make it make sense, you know what I mean? Completing a bucket list has powerful rewards, including the ability to experience rebirth, yay. As a ghost, Sims may also continue their soul's journey to complete their unfinished business. Sorry, even if you kick the bucket before your bucket list is up, you got a second chance, which if completed will result in an even more powerful form of rebirth with the burning soul trait. How cool is that? I want to see how it plays out. I'm sure we'll get shown in the no longer live stream when it happens, hopefully. So yeah, I think that's really cool. I think that could mean a lot for gameplay, especially with legacy saves. It adds a whole new dimension to that. And also, if you are sort of attached to a Sim but you want some sort of time realism, then you can just make them look very similar if you want to, because I think that you actually get to design what they look like in Cass, the rebirthed version of them. And so, yeah, I think this hopefully add a bit more meaning and hopefully let us then just make it more interesting if we get hung up on a particular Sim to follow their journey. That's a heck of a journey, gotta say, potentially, of course. For some Sims, leaving behind life is hard to do. So this is actually probably going to help my mind of deciding whether ghosts should come back to their households or not, hang around for a little bit, or just go to the Netherworld. So there being so much stuff now, it's either going to complicate it worse or it's going to make it better, but I think it could make it better. Okay, players can let their Sims linger on as playable household members where they can wreak havoc on the living or lend a helping hand. Ghost Sims. who build special connections with each other can also pair up for a special spectral woohoo inside objects of all shapes and sizes. A spectral woohoo. Well, there's one. For the bucket list even. Can you add an extra item after you've gone? I don't know. As Sims adjust to their playable ghost Sims form, they can customize their looks in CAS, build ghost powers, and even fear or goodwill essences from the interactions with the living to make simoleons. Yes, there is still room to grow in the afterlife. It always gets confusing as to whether to leave couples together when one of them is a ghost. You know what I mean? Because you don't know whether you want to move the gameplay on, but you can't ignore the fact that they're still like wandering around. So yeah, I'm keen to see how this all plays out. Now, we've seen a little bit of the Grim career in that trailer before, but I do still want to check out anything to do with the Netherworld in here. So, work with Grim at the Netherworld Department of Death, the NWDD, and even head off into the field, yada yada yada. Once retrieved, souls can be placed in the Netherworld portal to meet the soul quota. So, I wonder, placed in the Netherworld portal, is that the portal in the Netherworld? Is like the Netherworld place that we saw in our little trailer somewhere in between? Is this like in the Thin Veil? Is it like the Netherworld department? But is it in between, or is that actual Netherworld? And if we put the Sims into the Netherworld portal, if that place where Grim works is the actual Netherworld, do the ghosts we reap walk around there? Going to get pretty crowded after a while. I don't know. Let's just have one more look at one more thing to get our head around this, and that is on everybody's favorite app, the EA app. So this is the explanation on the actual glorious EA app if you're looking to purchase. So we've got Soul's Journey. Complete your unfinished business. If a sim unalives with incomplete items on their bucket list and becomes a ghost, those items will become their unfinished business. Completing the items will then unlock the options to either move on or be reborn. And this move on part plays into the rant I was just trying to have before, which is move on another place other than the Netherworld we see, where you're kind of no longer a ghost? You've sort of joined the source of everything, become something unknown, I don't know, something unseeable even in Netherworld, or like maybe you just join everything Evangelion styles. I sure hope there is lore for this. So this is sort of giving autonomy to ghosts, because beforehand it would be somebody that knew them that could click on their tombstone and release them to Netherworld. But they get to choose now, or they can be reborn. So they've either made peace, they've lived enough of a life, they don't want to come back, they've had enough, no more they say, no more. Although there is another option, you can just choose to have them remain a ghost. They might just go, you know what, I don't want to come back to life, but I'm just happy to exist in this in-between form. That might be what they think. And for ghosts, we've got a bit of grow your power. Power progression for ghosts has 5 tiers split between good and evil lanes. So I think this is where the whole ghosts being like proper occults now comes into play. They're going to have sort of probably points you can get. We're talking probably similar to, you know, the vampires, werewolves, and spellcasters kind of deal where they gain more powers, as well as a 4-tier neutral track in the middle. We've got a neutral Nelly option. As you work to become the best or worst ghoul you can be, you'll unlock powerful abilities. Make sure to watch your stamina gauge. You'll get more see-through. Become more transparent when you are on low energy. The ultimate ability of the good track is Benevolent Blessing, and the ultimate ability of the evil track is Otherworldly Curse. So you can be a Casper, a friendly, or you can be a twat. How will you haunt? You can be very friendly ghost and help out around the house you're haunting. Well, that's very nice of you. Cleaning messes and fixing broken items. This will earn you goodwill essences. You can also embrace the fiendish fun of scaring living sims. Both types of essence can be sold for simoleons. Ghosts need money too, so you can exploit your own essence for cash. Woo! So here is the rebirth. Start over. Completing their bucket list or unfinished business will give a sim the ability to be reborn. They will be submerged in Ravenwood's baleful bog, a very flattering name there. Before you're taken into CAS, see, here it is. You'll get taken into CAS, and the reborn Sims' age and appearance will both be customizable. And you can also choose which household your reborn Sim will join and what their relationships will be. For example, you could insert the reborn Sim into the Goth family with Bella and Mortimer as their parents. So you could have them be reborn to their child or grandchild and really kick that legacy home. Or you could just put them randomly into the Goth family if you want. Yes, this to me is the most exciting feature just because of the obscure gameplay element. It's kind of unique, The Sims, with the way it's going to be, with the way it already handles ghosts and unaliving, but this pack is really going to make it something even more unique. It seems like the developers are actually excited for this, which is always a good sign. But if this all gets implemented properly, this seems like it's going to be a better pack than we have seen in a while at the very least, if of course it works. So are you excited for these particular features as well? Obviously, there's more to the pack than what I've shown you today, but I just want to focus on these elements for now because to me, it could be an interesting game changer, could change the tone, could kind of change the meaning of your legacies. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a magnificent day or night, and I shall see you in the next one.